Thanks, Lee. That's me in record now.
Hey, Keith, go ahead.
Okay. Steve, can we get your reaction, first of all, to your good news today, your 2 long-term contract extensions?
Yeah, I mean, it's never a healthy situation when we've got, half a dozen or so within the last year of the contract. So, especially with Isaac, it's been a sort of on-off since I've been at the club, but all the time we've wanted him to commit his future to the club, which he's done. And Carl Darlow in particular, who the spotlight's going to be on him a little bit now because of the injury to Martin. But every day we've seen him work, and we're delighted to tie them both up. And we've got a couple more that we're in discussions with, and hopefully we can get them over the line too.
Yeah, Isaac in particular, as you allude to there, it's kind of been a bit of a difficult situation because he's kind of come out and said he's wanted to go at times in the past. Has his personal situation changed then?
Yes, I believe so. His personal situation, like a lot of players, we don't know what goes on when they leave the training ground, but certainly for him to commit his future was great. We're delighted. Certainly I've been trying for the past 12 months. And well done to Lee again to manage to get that over the line. And the boy himself, he seems settled and wants to commit his future. So good news for everybody.
You obviously feel with Carl then that with Martin out, he's equipped to come in and take over in the meantime.
I've got no doubt about that. He'd be fine. We see him work every day. We see him push the way he pushes Martin, and mine simply to him was you get your chance, and he's no different to everybody else. So he's waited patiently for his chance. It's always difficult and horrible when you have to get a chance when somebody's injured, but he will play at the start of the season. So let's hope it goes well for him.
You've also announced today that Flo is heading out to Alaves on loan. What's the thinking behind that, Steve?
Yeah, I think it's just with these injury problems that he's had, we need to get Flo even after lockdown. Unfortunately, Flo picked up a thigh injury, which we couldn't even get many games towards the end of the season. And with the lack of friendlies and not a real pre-season, if you like, then I think it was vitally important that we have somewhere where Flo can go and play. It's been an awful time for him in terms of 2 cruciates, which basically are back-to-back. So I think maybe playing out in Spain and maybe not the same intensity of what the Premier League is will suit him, and we'll keep revisiting it when we need to. It's not the end of the day for Flo. So we'll keep watching and monitoring and see how he does and see if he can keep himself fit.
There's been a couple of things written about a similar potential departure for Fabian Schär as well. Does he have a future here, Steve?
He certainly has. I had a conversation with him. Of course, the one thing you can't never stop is the speculation in Newcastle. But Fab at the minute is recovering from a shoulder operation. He's an important part to us, and that's not changed. No matter what you've read in newspapers, that hasn't changed at all. So let's hope he can get fit quickly. It's still going to be, I would think, at least a month away before he gets right. So let's hope that he can recover from his shoulder and get on with it after that.
It's been a pretty big week for the club all round. You've obviously made those 3 signings, which you said to us the other day you're delighted with. You've got the news today of the new contracts, and also the owner came up to visit and you all went out for dinner the other night. Can you tell us a little bit of how that went, Steve?
Well, I mean, I think the owner just wanted to come and meet his new players, and he comes up once in a while and comes and takes everybody out for dinner. And it was good. It was good to see him, and sometimes the manager needs a bit of help, and certainly over the last week in particular, and then in certain transfers he's had to flex his muscles a little bit, which was good to see. So of course he's the owner and the boss, and when he arrives, then but we all went out for dinner. It was great, like it should be.
Of course, I'm guessing if you've got an opportunity to get a couple of glasses of wine in him as well, you might be able to get your budget increased again.
No, I didn't. We didn't really talk about football. It was just about the team we had. But I get your point, Keith. The next time I'll try him on that. Why not?
Yeah, it's clear to see though that the two of you have got a good relationship.
Well, I think that's vitally important. I don't have everyday dealings with him. He's got so much going on in his life. But the most important thing is always I've thought is the relationship that a manager can have with his CEO. And of course, you're never going to see eye to eye all the time, and there's going to be a few arguments here and there. Of course, that's normal. But there's nothing quite like a manager needs a bit of help, like we needed last week. And when 3 or 4 people walk through the door of the calibre that we have had and what we've got, then certainly it helps. So every manager needs that help, and I'm obviously grateful for that support.
And I hate to ask you about it, the dreaded T word, but obviously the statement dropped from the club as you guys were out the other night for dinner. Did Mike at any stage speak to you about where the club was with the takeover process?
I think on that, it's all been said. What's happening now, next, or whatever. I think, to be fair to Mike, he only wants what's best for the club, and these are quite a unique situation, wasn't it? Where it could only benefit the club, and take the club into a different. That's what I think everybody's hoping for, or would like to see. That Newcastle competing in the top end, in the top 6. So it doesn't look as if it's happened. So for me, it's just get on with business as usual and try and do the best I can. And certainly when I think of where we were 12 months ago to today, certainly the squad's a bit better and stronger. So let's try and improve on next year.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about the squad being stronger. We obviously were given the opportunity to speak to all the new signings the other day. I thought it was interesting when we spoke to Callum Wilson, who said, I looked at the team before I arrived. I looked at the squad. I looked at St Maximin, Almiron, Fraser, who obviously could be coming in, Shelby. He goes, all I saw was chances and assists. Do you expect to be playing on the front foot with these new signings?
Well, I sincerely hope so. That's the one thing we've got to improve on, Keith. We scored, the front players scored 6 goals between them. Now that's not been a criticism, but we've got to try and play a little bit. We've got to create a bit more, and make more chances, and that's why we brought in the players what we have done to try and improve that situation. And let's hope it works. They're proven, all of them, in one way or another. So I'm very, very quietly confident that all of them will do very well.
Just last one from me, Steve. We're asking all the managers we speak to across the league today. Do you know yet whether the players and staff plan to continue to take the knee like you were before the break?
Well, I've got no problems with it at all. And I'll have a conversation with the captain and around the Premier and the players themselves. I don't think they have any issue with it whatsoever. So if that little gesture helps, then we're all for it.
Great stuff. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Vicky Sparks, PLP.
Hi, Steve. Good to see you.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Steve, have the club sent a message out with this busy transfer window? It certainly seems to have lifted the mood amongst fans.
Well, as you know, that Newcastle's always seems to be in a storm, and it goes like this. And this week, in particular, with the signings we've brought in, there's nothing like a signing or 2 or 3 or 4 like we've had in 10 days to lift the mood amongst everybody, not just supporters, players, staff, the manager, and the manager in particular needs that little bit of help, And so the work that has gone on behind the scenes, especially with my CEO Lee, who's worked tirelessly to get them off the line. The transfers don't just happen overnight these days. So very quietly, in amongst the storm, we've been trying to work our way through it. And of course, when they get over the line and they come thick and fast like they did, then I think everybody is pleased and delighted with the work we've done.
And I know the dates for the transfer window are here, there and everywhere at the moment. But what seems to have pleased supporters so much as well is getting the business done, or the bulk of it done, before the season actually starts, which is so important.
Yeah, vitally important. I mean, in the past, you'd like to have them done before you come in for pre-season. This year there's been no real pre-season as such. In the past, we had 6 weeks off. We had 6 weeks preparation. In them 6 weeks, you try and bring your players in. But I'm delighted at what we've done, just at the right time. We've managed to bring, 4 or 5 in, and I've got 1 or 2 signed up as well, which and another couple are in discussions with Lee at the moment. So we're progressing, and hopefully we can get it done and dusted before that scramble, which always comes within a month's time.
And right at the start of this season, Steve, well, what do you feel is the aim for Newcastle this season, the primary aim?
I've said from day one is I've got to improve and try and improve us. Now, if I look at the squad of players, I think we're stronger. We're stronger today than we were 12 months ago. And that's the thing for me, is to gradually improve us. We did okay last year under difficult circumstances, and we did okay, but we can't just settle that we're going to be, happy with the mid-table. Can we progress? Can we stay injury-free? And can we try and enjoy the season, what lies ahead of us?
We were speaking to John Joe yesterday, and he was saying that for him the aim is initially the top 10, to really target that. I know you were targeting that at the end of last season. Would you carry that forward into this season as well?
We give ourselves a chance to try and do that. We knew we had a difficult finish. We had the top 6, I think, 5 or 6 in the last 5 or 6 games, but we give ourselves a chance to do that. So that's got to be the aim. Of course it has. And keep improving.
In terms of team news, how are you looking? Particularly Matt Rich, I know he was touch and go a couple of days ago.
Yeah, he's still touch and go. He's trained the last couple of days, but the way he is, we'll see how he is today. We were a bit worried about him later on in the week. Was it a kick or was it a bit of a tear in his calf? It looks as if it's been a horrible kick. So we'll see how he is today.
And any other update, team news?
No, everybody, we've got the long-term ones that Matty Longstaff, Dubravka, Shah won't make it, but we're very quietly getting a few back, which is important.
And just finally, from me, in terms of West Ham, have had a much quieter transfer window, it's fair to say, than Newcastle. What sort of test are you expecting from them?
Well, whenever you play against a David Moyes team, you know what you're going to expect. He's a top-class manager who demands of his players what he's all about, which is hard work and a bit of resilience as well. So we know what to expect from West Ham. It'll be a difficult nut to crack. We played very well down there last year. Will that count for anything? I hope so. But let's look forward to the game and get ready for it.
Thanks, Vicky. I'm going to go to Alistair McIntosh at BBC Sports.
McIntosh. It's McGowan, but we'll let you off, Lee. It's all right. Hi, Steve. Just a couple of quick questions. You mentioned, obviously, there you still want to try and get a couple of players committed for new deals. Do you plan to bring any more players in from outside of the club, or are you done with spending, as it were?
Well, I'll never say never. But I'm absolutely delighted of what we've managed to get done. Now we have to look at the squad, because in 3 weeks' time, obviously I've got to list a 25-man squad. Now 3 of them are goalkeepers. So you've got to name 22, and we've only got probably 1, which is young Longstaff. That doesn't come in that remit. So, it's all right bringing people in, but we have to make the decision of letting people go too, and make way, because it's unhealthy that I can have 5 or 6 sitting around who are not even going to travel or not even going to get a shirt number. And that happened to Savet last year and Jack Colback. So it's something which we need to make room, and we'll see what develops over the next 2-3 weeks.
And can I just ask you, last one for me, obviously it was mentioned there about the T-word, the takeover this week, and the club's statement, and also the Premier League's response. On the outside, it kind of like looks as though that, the Saudi interest is maybe over now. Is that a relief to you?
To me, I've said all along, Alistair, that whatever's best for the club, and certainly after speaking with Mike, he thought it would be a wonderful opportunity for the club to take it forward if that had gone through. It catapults you into a different scenario, shall we say. Now, I'm always wary and always known that a new brush sweeps clean. So for me, it's not important really for me. The important thing for me is what's best for the club. And as we've just seen with the 3-4 players we've brought in, we've had to beat big competition. Newcastle is still a huge, big draw to a lot of people. And let's not forget that. So it hasn't happened. So for me now, let's get on with it. I think I've been saying that since I walked through the door. There's always a takeover. But I think this one was a bit different, a bit unique because of who was involved. And so it looks as if it hasn't happened. For me, let's get on with the job in hand. Let's forget about takeovers. My job's to keep the players focused and improve the team.
Thanks, Alistair. Mark Shulett, BBC Look North.
Morning, Steve.
Morning.
Just on that front, from Alistair, I mean, do you feel now that, in a sense, there's a period of stability after all that summer uncertainty? You can kind of draw a little bit of a line and not be distracted by it, and there's a period of stability lying ahead.
Yeah, I hope so, because, look, the one thing a takeover does is put everybody, whether the head coach, manager, to the tea lady or whoever it is, there's an uncertainty, and that's never healthy in any environment. Now, we've all said, or I've said, and I think the owner is the same, that it would have been wonderful for the club. If he thought that, then it takes Newcastle to a different level with the people who are involved. Then that's going to be exciting for the club and the way forward. It looks as if it's dead in the water. So my job now is to get on with it. And I'm certainly with the signings, what we've just brought in, I think we're better equipped than we were this time last year. And that's my job, to try and improve us. So that's what I'll try and do.
Two of your new signings, Callum and Ryan, both targeted a top 10 finish. And I suppose the key really is to hit the ground running just like you did after the coronavirus break. Yeah,
I mean, we knew it was going to be, we knew we had to, because we knew what we had at the back end of the season. We had all the top teams to play. The really difficult run-in towards the end. I think in the last 7-8 games, we had Man City twice, Liverpool, Tottenham to play. So we knew it was difficult. But we gave ourselves a chance last year to finish in the top 10. So that's got to be the aim. We've got to try and improve on last year's position and last year's points tally. I think we're better equipped. Let's hope that we stay a little bit more injury-free than what we did last year, because we had big players for a long, long time last year. So let's hope that's a bit more kind to us. And let's see what we can do.
Just a little bit earlier, you mentioned Matt Ritchie. I'm afraid the sound in my earphones just dropped out. Did you say calf for Matt?
Yes, calf.
I'm hoping it's a knock rather than a tear.
Yeah. Yes.
Regarding Matt, though, it's been a summer of speculation for him. I mean, are you sort of quietly confident that he'll be staying beyond the end of the transfer?
I think so now. I think with the Callum deal done and him not in it, I was pleasantly delighted that he has stayed. But obviously, the lure of Bournemouth and going back and this, that and the other, he maybe had his head turned where his family are. And but thankfully it's gone. He's still an important part. He's got an important part to play. He only signed a long-term contract 3-4 months ago. So I'm delighted that he hasn't gone anywhere. And we've been open and transparent with him. It's which was vitally important for Matt. So let's hope he's now settled and get on with the job in hand.
Finally, from me, Steve, just one about central defenders. Obviously, you've outlined the reasons for letting Flo go out on loan. You'll be hoping for better luck with injuries to central defenders this year.
Absolutely. And as we speak at the moment, Kieran and Dummy in particular have still not fully recovered from their injuries they had probably last January. Kieran obviously broke a leg, which is, or ankle, whichever you want to call it, and Dummy's had an ongoing problem. So, they both had operations. So in that respect, and then Fab Shah dislocated his shoulder on the last game of the season. He's not right either. So yes, letting Flo out, I think was the right thing to do. He needs to go and play. Let's hope we can be a bit more luck in that department, because we had some big injuries to a lot of players.
Thanks, Steve. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Simon O'Rourke, ITV Time Tees.
Hi, Steve. I've just got one. Now, it's fairly clear that the top teams are going to finish up the top as they always do. But do you think, given the unique circumstances of 2020, there's the opportunity for the rest of the teams to sort of take advantage of this? The teams that adapt well could do better. Could you be one of those teams?
I sincerely hope so. You know, we give ourselves a fighting chance last year of finishing in the top 10, and unfortunately, weren't good enough or strong enough in depth with the injuries we had. So we've got to try and improve. You know, a lot of clubs haven't done a lot because of what's happened with COVID. Of course, there's still a month to go, so whether there's going to be a huge flurry towards the end, but we couldn't be more pleased at what we've done. We've had a really, really good week, and let's hope. Well, I know for a fact it's improved us. Let's hope we can see some improved results on the pitch.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, broadcasters. If you could leave the call now, please. We'll move on to written titles in just a moment.